What is meditation? What is breath work? I'll show you right now in a couple seconds. This is it. That's it. I mean, not really, but that's it. That's all it is. And I'll explain more. I've got a couple questions I'm going to run through, and we'll just take you through the whole process. This is going to be a general 101 to meditation and breath work. What is it? Meditation and breath work are different, but kind of the same. Meditation is, from my understanding, it's the act of diving into your own mind with the goal being to sink into the present moment. Just experience presence fully. Breath work is the tool that brings you from the regular world into the present moment through focus. And by that targeted focus with breath work, we are using both our mind to focus and our body breathing a specific way to achieve a skill set of coming back to presence. That's meditation. Meditation was the biggest influence on my total recovery from childhood sexual abuse, addiction, and suicide. I do not come from a meditative family. I come from a regular, blue-collar, entrepreneurial, midwestern, small town. I did not grow up with this being something that anybody around me did. I came into it the biggest skeptic. Couldn't have been a bigger skeptic. I have now learned it, understood it, now try to teach it, and I realize that it is not what people think it is. In fact, it is your biggest tool for self-transformation and for general health, body, mind, and spirit all the way through. What is the ideal environment? You can meditate anywhere. It's really not about the environment. However, you should try to pick a spot, especially if you're learning, that is isolated, it's private, it's quiet. Nobody's going to come in and interrupt you. Maybe noises don't bother you. Maybe it's private because it might get pretty personal and you don't want other people to influence your ability to feel things. That being said, I learned to meditate in the sauna. It's pretty much where I've done almost all my meditations for the last 3 odd years. Dry, hot sauna in a gym. Sometimes there's people in there, sometimes not. That's where I learned. In the sauna. The heat helped me. It doesn't need to be the sauna, although I would argue it's a great place to learn. Staying for time in a dry, hot sauna, you now are having two hard things clash. But what happens is, for me at least, those things clashed. It took me a long time to learn. But as soon as I learned, that curve just went straight up. Because it was like, I put myself in the hardest situation possible to learn, arguably, and then I did learn, and so everything after that became relatively easy. You can also think about it like putting a donut on a baseball bat before you go up to swing. Your warm-up swings are hard and heavy. As soon as you take the donut off, all of a sudden that bat feels like a fucking toothpick. Same concept. So, ideal environment, if you can, somewhere private, somewhere quiet, somewhere isolated. If you really can, go in the sauna and do it. Do you have any planned questions to bring with you when you start? This is a question of intention, okay? And this is important. There's 2 ways to go about this. A, you can meditate with no intention other than trying to become aware of the present moment and be present. So I guess that's an intention, but it's kind of one that you can just show up to. The second one is having a targeted intention. Now, I used meditation for all of my psyche's rewiring and rebuilding. So I would go in throughout my recovery process with a targeted intention. I'm going to dig into this memory. I'm going to dig into this behavior, this cycle. I'm going into my shadow. I'm going into the darkest abyss, the pit of my shadow. We're doing this shit today. I'm going to learn my masculine energy, my feminine. I'm going to learn how to integrate these things. I'm going to learn where I am in the hero myth, where I am in the post-hero myth, right? So yes, intention. Is it a checklist of planned questions? No, but have a general idea of the reason you're going in, and what it is it's sort of like carrying a balloon, and the balloon is your intention, and you walk outside, the sky is the world of meditation. You walk in with your balloon, you get into the arena of the sky, and you let your balloon go, and the wind will take it wherever it goes. That's kind of how it works with bringing an intention to meditation. Do you need any prep work? No. you don't need prep work. Intention, have a setting, and be ready to it's hard. Like, it's not relaxing. I mean, it is relaxing, but it's a relatively difficult task, or at least it was for me to learn. So understand those three things. That's kind of all the prep work you need. Guided or unguided? Good question. I have most of my experience with unguided. I didn't really know what I was doing. I listened to a couple of YouTube videos, I'm sure, did a little bit of research, did some cross-referencing with old Eastern texts, and just developed a general idea that felt somewhat true to me. My gut instincts sort of drew me to a certain way. I have done some guided meditations, and they're good if you're with somebody who knows what they're doing, because a guided meditation is somebody that takes you through the process of meditation in order to then talk with you about the things that came up. So it's less about them guiding you and more about them being there to sort of decipher what it was that you experienced. So if you want some help with the analysis part of it, a guided meditation will work. Now, are you going to get analysis with a guided YouTube meditation? No. So I would say you don't need to do that. Unless you want to, then go for it. But I have never found great success in that. It's just I do it alone by myself, or I've done it with somebody who understands it and I'm in person and they're there to talk about it with me when I'm done. Breathing techniques. This is the key here. There's a bajillion, I'm sure, meditation breathing techniques. I have used one the entire time, and it's the only one I've ever needed. And I'm not going to credit myself with coming up with it, but it's just something that sort of naturally happened. This is what it is. You inhale for 4 seconds, and you exhale for 6 seconds or longer. The key is that your exhale is longer than your inhale. And this is for a lot of reasons. From a science perspective, when your exhale is longer than your inhale, you are eventually leading your nervous system to coming down from potentially fight or flight or wherever to a rest and digest parasympathetic state of your nervous system. That's the goal, because when you're in that rest and digest, that's when the defensive walls of the ego collapse, your anxiety fizzles, your hypervigilance goes away, and you're able to look at things behind the curtains. That's parasympathetic. From a spiritual perspective, you bring your exhale to be longer than your inhale so that you can calm your spirit down. You can calm the vessel of your body down in order to access the spirit, in order to access presence, to access awareness. And you must bring your system down to then connect with that peace. That's my understanding thus far. Where are you breathing in? There's two main kinds of breaths. You've got your chest breathing and you've got your diaphragmatic breathing, okay? Chest breathing is up and down. It looks like this. What you might breathe like if you just did something hard from a fitness perspective. Breathing up and down, right? This is through your lungs, through your chest. This is not what we want in meditation. We want to breathe through the belly, diaphragmatic breathing, through your diaphragm. This is the easiest way to learn how to do it if you don't know. I'll give you 2 ways. Way 1, lay down on the ground, put something on your stomach. Fucking TV remote, your phone, anything, okay? Now, just by breathing, try to move that object up and down. Place it right on your belly button and move it up and down. You'll find that either you can do it and then you got it, or you end up still breathing through the chest and your belly stays right where it is. This is something to work on. Another way to do it, especially if you're a lifter, it's the same as bracing. Take your hands, put them on your midsection, right below your ribs, push in hard. Hard, don't hurt yourself, but push it in pretty hard. Now, just by inhaling, try to separate your hands to the side like this. You might find that you're breathing up and down. Your hands don't go anywhere. So learn that skill before you ever attempt meditation. Learn how to breathe through your stomach. Either separate your hands or put something on your belly button and try to make it go up and down. And the reason we're keeping this in the belly is also for movement of energy and blood flow. I don't know if this is correct, but this is my understanding thus far. If you breathe through your chest, all of this area of your body doesn't receive pressure, tension, movements. It stays up here. But when you can breathe into your stomach, that your core muscles are over your stomach. So when you expand your stomach, your core muscles, which go all the way down to your fucking crotch area, they move. And what they do is it's almost like you ever see somebody do like the blowing thing in a fire, where it's like an accordion and you blow it? That's kind of how it is the way I think about it is when you bring your breath down to the belly, you're now doing this accordion motion at your base, the root of your spine, and it's bringing blood flow from your hips, which are usually tight, and a ton of stored energy and emotion are there. There's not a lot of movement. We're creating movement, constant movement, and we're pumping blood up. It's going to run up through the spine, get into your head, bring more blood flow and oxygen into your brain, help you think clearer, move energy up from the base chakras, if you believe in that kind of stuff, all the way up so that we can get into that mind's eye, we can get into that crown chakra, start to dive into the celestial realms, the mental and psychological realms where we're going to have to go in and rewire stuff or learn about ourselves. So that's why we breathe in through the stomach. So inhale for 4, exhale for 6 or longer. Usually I stick with 4 and 6 and breathe through your belly. Meditation versus breath work. So I kind of touched on this earlier. Meditation is a mental practice, a psychological, spiritual, metaphysical practice. And the goal is to get to the point where you are purely existing in the present moment and you're just experiencing the full weight of experience. Breath work is the tool that we use to get there. You can do breath work and not meditate. I don't know if you can meditate without doing some form of breath work, even if you don't realize you're doing it. So when we're in this meditation, what does this kind of look like? First question, one I got hung up on a lot, how do you sit? Do you need to sit like this? Do you need to fucking do this Master Shifu stuff? Well, what's the deal? How do you sit? Now, I'm going to take the pressure off. You really don't need to worry about it. I do it 2 ways. My big mistake was realizing that I was worrying about it too much. I was so focused on, am I sitting correctly for this to work, that I never allowed it to work. So here's the 2 things that I do. Sometimes I sit up nice and tall. First, I should say, I prefer sitting. You can do it laying down. You could do it upside down, I'm sure. You could do it whatever. Technically, you can do it moving. You can do it always. When you get to a certain level, you realize you can just do it all the time. But start sitting, just because it's easy, pressure's off your legs. It's laying down, you might fall asleep. Like it might be too similar to sleeping or like hanging out, resting, that you lose the focus of what we're trying to do. Make it seated, and I do it 2 ways. Sometimes I sit up nice and tall and I support myself, no backrest. This makes me have to hold on and be strong in a position and maintain that strength and some of that tension throughout as I concrete my body one way to then ascend into my mind and work around there. The body is a concrete pillar. I'm up here and we're working together. There's a tension there that works. Sometimes I let my back rest on something, anything. Usually I meditate in the sauna, I'm up on the top seat, and I will start kind of sitting up nice and tall, and then maybe go for a whole round for like 10 minutes, and then go into another round, and I'll lean back against the wall. I will say I have found that most of my deepest and most impactful meditations were when my back was supported. And I think it's just because I wasn't thinking about my positioning. I was able to relax basically everything in my body, and there was no tension between holding strength and focus in my mind. Now, your hands and your arms, where should they go? I don't know if it's because of the movies or the pictures or the books. I just have always put my hands on my knees. Sometimes I put my hands together and I rest them, especially if my back is against something. I might rest my arms on my legs, my hands together like this. But for the most part, I have just found putting my hands on my knees is what works. And it's not because this does anything, just because it feels comfortable. And also at the same time, going further, I have found that sometimes when I'm seated and I have my hands close to me, it feels like my center of gravity is sort of in my spine, in my back, in my torso, on my butt. But sometimes when I put my hands over my knees, I'm not pulling into my knees, I'm just resting. It feels like my center of gravity has shifted into the middle, sort of over my thighs, and it feels like I am creating and holding equal tension with every muscle in my body when my hands are here. It just feels equal, it feels balanced. When I'm here, I feel like I'm sort of in my torso. When I'm here, Something about it feels balanced. So I've always done it that way. Feel free to do whatever you want. I used to put my hands facing up. A lot of times I do my hands with my fists facing like this. A lot of times here. I don't think it matters. There's nuance to a lot of this, I'm sure. I don't think it matters. This is what you're going to do. If you're learning or beginner or whatever, you're going to set a timer. Start with 5 minutes, start with 10 minutes, whatever. Start with something small. Don't be crazy with this. You're probably not going to get it if you're shooting for these huge, crazy goals. Timer, 5 minutes. Set it, start it, close your eyes. Do you need your eyes closed? Not necessarily. However, when my eyes are open, there's more stimulus for me to adhere to. Makes it harder to focus. Close my eyes, less stimulus, more in my mind. Open them, more discipline, which you might not need if you're beginning when you're trying to learn the skill. Eyes open, more discipline to stay focused on the present moment and not give in to visual stimuli. That's my 2 cents there. Start a timer, 5 minutes. Close your eyes. Get in position. Sit tall or relax, whatever. Doesn't matter. Start to inhale through your belly. 4 count, right? Inhale and exhale. And all we're doing is repeating that over and over and over until that timer goes off. Don't open your eyes. Wait till the timer goes off. Set it so it makes a noise, it vibrates, whatever. Start it, look at it, know you started it. Don't fall into the mental trap of closing your eyes and getting to the point where you say, I want to open my eyes. Did I even start the timer? How much time is left? No. Keep your eyes closed. This is important. You're going to breathe. You're going to count. In for 4, out for 6. In for 4, out for 6. And this is what we're doing. The goal of meditation is to get to a state of presence. A state of presence, I'm going to try to stay relatively simple here, is everything and one thing. It's all but one. What we're trying to do is get to that one and stay there. We're anchoring. We're staying at one point in all of space. We're getting to one point. No thoughts, no feelings, no distractions, no anything. We're staying on one point. That's our breath. Our breath is our anchor. It's our lifeline in meditation. We're here, right? Inhale, count in your head to 4. Exhale, count in your head to 6. All we're doing is we're staying right there, okay? And this is what's going to happen. Eventually, maybe immediately, a thought will pop up. We'll take your focus from your count of the breath to the thought. The goal of meditation, the art of meditation, is realizing that your attention has been diverted. Bring it back. That's all meditation is the act of bringing your attention back to the present moment. And you get better and quicker at this until it just becomes, that's the state that you exist in. So again, we're here with the breath. Emotion comes up. You're breathing. You're relaxing. Maybe for the first time ever. Fear comes up. Fear starts to drag you over here. What do? We see fear. That's fear. Bring it back to the breath. What happens is you get to a fucking Master Yoda kind of thing, and you just start to realize that patience is the power in meditation. Thought comes, let it go, come back. It's still there, but you're here with enough patience, it goes away. Emotion comes up, fear, danger, anger, all this stuff. Let it go, come back to the breath. It's still there, be patient, it goes away. What happens is over time, in the beginning, everything will rush at you. It'll be you just getting pulled in every direction. We got to keep bringing ourselves back. Pulled in every direction. Bring yourself back to the count, to the breath. Eyes closed. Timer hasn't gone off yet. We're here. What you start to notice is that over time, there becomes these separations. There are these silences between the times where the next thing takes your attention away. So we're here. A thought comes, we've brought it back. Now all of a sudden, there's silence. Now there's nothing. There's no thoughts. There's no emotions, no distractions. Uh-oh, right? This is where we go. Now there's a space. In that uh-oh, a new thing comes up, a new emotion, a new thought. Anything comes up just to fill that silence. Try to bring it back. The more you bring it back without judgment, don't beat yourself up. That's a dumb mistake to make. Don't do it. Bring yourself back to the breath. We keep bringing it back. All of a sudden, these silences between things get longer and longer and longer until you realize that those silences are presence. There's nothing, but there's everything. There's nothing. There's nothing there, but it's everything. And you just are trying to maintain that breath. You sink into those silences between things. You just keep breathing. It's like Dory from Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep breathing. You're there in that silence until the next thing comes up, whatever it is. And then notice that it came up. Notice your attention got diverted. We're bringing it back. All of a sudden, there's silence. It's terrifying at first, especially if you come from an abuse and addiction and suicide background. That's your biggest fear, is presence, because everything comes up. That's why it works too. And that's why your breath is your lifeline, because your breath will take you through all of that stuff. No matter how big it is, we breathe through it. And then all kinds of stuff happens, and that's for a different video. Do we get uncomfortable? Do we get awkward? Is there temperature changes? Do we get zings? Do we get zaps? Do we get fucking all kinds of stuff? Yes. After you get good, you breathe through your belly, you get good at finding a spot to meditate, you find your position, you start bringing yourself back as best as you can, you start finding little pockets of silence here and there. Your next goal is to begin to map your body, map the sensations. Don't worry so much about thoughts. Thoughts are just, they're scatterbrained, right? They're not something to always believe in. Thoughts are up here, but your body is yours, and there's sensations for a reason. So we're going to start to map them. As you're in that meditative state, you're breathing, you're staying true to the count, you're sinking into those silences between distractions. Things will feel in your body. All kinds of things. And I can't give you examples because it could be anything. So what you're supposed to do is what I did is I learned to think, like, as I'm in this meditative state, I would feel something and I would just consciously draw my attention from my anchor of the breath into wherever that feeling was. I'm still breathing, I'm still counting in my head, but now I'm kind of focusing on that feeling. What is it? What does it feel like? Is it trying to tell me something? What color is it? What shape is it? What texture is it? Like, can we craft a picture in our mind of what this feeling is? You don't need the right answer right away. It might take you a long time to figure out what that is. Just start to note it. Start to form a picture. Then, when nothing is sort of left, and maybe you don't have a clear picture, but you got a little bit of something, bring your attention back. You've already built that skill now. Bring it back to the breath. Continue breathing. No expectations, right? Wait. Next silence comes, or whenever. New sensation. Maybe it's something that moves, starts at your knee, it runs up a side. And then you might think, like, okay, well, what was that? Was I actually thinking about something, or was there a feeling somewhere and then that sensation happened? Like, maybe I didn't realize that there was a thought floating up here, and then that thought and this sensation lined up in time. But I'm breathing, so I didn't really quite catch that. Well, let your mind wander just a little bit. Dig in. What was the thought? What was the emotion? What was what? Try to start to create clusters of what thoughts bring what sensations, what emotions bring what sensations, what thoughts elicit what emotions that bring what sensations. Start trying to web all these connections. And as you continue in your practice, I did it every day for over a year when I first started. It's just build it like a habit, right? Do it all the time. Doesn't have to be intense. You don't have to solve all your fucking problems in one go. Just creating little tiny pieces of the picture, and over time they start to make sense. But you need to create the pieces first. Start to map the sensations, right? So we're body mapping, but we're also staying true. When you get into a sensation and all of a sudden you realize that there's not much more to think about or feel, bring it back to the breath, right? The goal is always that silence, but staying true, always keeping the count. Let's go into something here. Uncomfortable feelings. Yes, many. For me personally, many. Your best mantra always is just keep breathing. You get something uncomfortable, something you just makes your skin crawl, you don't want to look at, it's dangerous or whatever. Just keep breathing. Do you need to solve that monster right now, whatever that means? No. That monster, treat it like a rock. All we're doing is we're taking a chisel, just knocking a little piece out. Let yourself feel just a little bit more by continuing to breathe. If it gets too much, open your eyes, stop. Don't kill yourself here, right? There's no need to force anything. Get to that point, overwhelm happens, see if you can get another breath in. If not, open your eyes and stop. The next time you try. That time you just put a little chisel in the rock. Next time, we'll see if we maybe get there again. If not, that's whatever, right? Whenever it happens next, another little chisel in the rock, another chip, another chip. Over time, everything is over time. This is a long process of unlearning and learning yourself. We're just trying to chisel into that cave until we make a tunnel through, right? That's a decent way to think about it. And so just keep breathing. Just take a little piece out. Maybe get to a spot that you've been before, try to get a little bit further, breathe a little deeper, let yourself feel a little bit more, just constantly exposing yourself little bit by little bit to these things that you don't understand yet. That's kind of what goes on in the body. Map the body, chisel out more and more. Try to treat it like progressive overload. Get a little bit better at it every day. Always make sure that skill is bringing yourself back, not beating yourself up. Realizing when you're in that silence between distractions, that's presence. That's not dangerous. Live there. Try to stay there. Keep breathing, okay? That's sort of inside the practice of meditation. I'll wrap up kind of the process. That's all going on, right? That's the big key. That's kind of all you really need to start. Wait till that timer goes off. When the timer goes off, open your eyes, relax, let your focus, whatever. Just kind of do a recap of what just happened, if anything. A lot of times, nothing happened for me, and it was just like, okay, whatever. It's just, this cost me what? Nothing. I just sat here for 5 minutes and nothing happened. Whatever, I'll try it again tomorrow. You know, I was determined to let this unfold, no matter how long it took. I did tell myself, I could do this every day for the rest of my life, 5-10 minutes a day, and nothing could happen. And I'm still going to try, just because I had this feeling that it was worth believing in. And I'm glad I had that feeling, because it was worth believing in. But when you get done, you're done. Just wrap it up, right? And keep awareness, keep thinking about the things that came up, and carry that on in the next session. Try to get a little bit better at something. Okay, and so that's sort of the practice of meditation. It's this thing where you're trying to stay anchored to a point. You're building the skill of bringing yourself back. You're realizing that there's silences between stuff that you used to attach to, thoughts, feelings, emotions, distractions, sensations. And then when you realize that those spaces are there, body map, start to draw connections, start to learn yourself from the inside out, start to realize sensations, start to ask yourself questions, let your body respond. Then to that response, allow your intuition to hit off that response and see if that's true or it's not true. Play games with yourself, ask yourself questions you've never asked before, see how your body responds, right? But at the end of the day, the goal is just bring yourself back to the breath. What if you feel stupid? What if you feel silly? What if this feels like nothing's working? Good. Keep trying. You got two choices from the way I see it. Keep trying and you'll find out, or stop trying and then never know. You know what I mean? My curiosity got the better of me. The first 3, 4, 5 months I did this, I just felt stupid. I just said, this is silly. This is that hippie garbage. This ain't gonna work. I don't know what this is. And I just like allowed myself to think that, but also at the same time, like, let's just see, like, whatever, who cares? Let's just figure out what this thing is that seemingly every culture has always talked about. Like, let's just give it a shot. So allow both those things to coexist and try to be a little open-minded. So that's wrapping up the whole practice of meditation, alone or supervised. Here's what I'll say. Every meditation I ever did, except for the 2 or 3 guided ones, were alone. This is sort of a tough question, because if you decide that this is something you're going to try to get good at, or at least understand, and you do start to understand it, and you do start to dig into yourself a little bit, you're going to get to points of the recovery process, especially that deep shadow integration, deep subconscious integration, deep wound acknowledgement and acceptance, that are dangerous, and they can break people. And that's what a mental institute is. It's people who either on purpose or by accident got too deep in their shadow or their subconscious, and they didn't have the strength or the groundedness to hold that sort of emotional charge, and so their psyche fractured. So if you're going to do it with somebody because you're going to try to dig into some things, make sure that person knows what they're doing. You don't need it. I didn't do it. I was cautioned to be very careful with doing it. I'm not trying to sound like this is like some fucking crazy thing, but I did this and it's fucking scary. If you do it in certain ways, it's terrifying. In fact, I would argue going down into the depths of your subconscious to integrate that is the most terrifying thing that you could do on the planet in your reality. And so if you want somebody there for that, have someone there for that. I did it alone. I think a lot of people could do it alone, but again, word to the wise, things can go wrong. So that's that. Okay, finishing off. Why? Why would one meditate? I mean, you can draw some answers from what I've talked about thus far. Why I would tell anybody to meditate, especially in the way that we just talked about. I would say that if you have any inclination to learn yourself from the inside out, if that resonates with you, I think you should try it, because I don't know where I'd be without it. Yes, I credit fitness. Yes, I credit determination. Yes, I credit faith. Yes, I credit all these things. But I was led to all my understandings through the process of learning meditation. Meditation at the start of my recovery was the thing that initially allowed me to even see what I needed to heal. It broke open my perception and allowed me to actually dive into myself deeper than I thought was ever possible. Then the next phase comes. As I'm working through the process of psychological transformation, meditation became the thing that took me through each phase. So it was the thing that initially got me to rest and start to dive into myself. And it's the thing that pulled me through the whole transformation. And now at the end of it, it's the thing that reminds me of who I am, what I'm doing. It's my daily reminder of the power of presence and what that means, and how to live from a constant state of flow and release all attachments to all things and simply do what your heart says right now, every moment, on the moment, and do the same thing moment after moment, and that's it. And that's what the third stage is. And those 3 stages are all meditation. That was what it did. And I did a whole bunch of other stuff. Fucking meditation was the thing that got me through all of that. And I learned it all from the inside out. It's the last thing I'll say. All the wisdom I learned, all the stuff that told me, try this in a meditation, try that, this is wrong, do this instead, focus here. It came from inside. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't use the internet and say, this happened in my meditation, what does that mean? I just asked myself, and myself responded in meditation. So it's like this weird self-generating thing that when you try it, it will give back to you. And when you ask it, it'll respond. And when you use it, it'll use you. And it's this thing that is already inside of you, and you can work with it, and it's endlessly self-generating, and there's no limit, and it just will take you so fucking far. Whether you have no problems at all or you have all the problems in the world, it will only do you better, because it will expand your conscious awareness of what you are and how to live. And that's my one-on-one on meditation. You can find me on Instagram, UncleSam_fit, FIT. Reach out, DM, fucking comment on all, whatever. I'm answering all the questions. I ain't a fucking guru. I just learned this shit. I was a skeptic. Now I'm a diehard believer. I went back, understood how it all worked, figured out how I could probably teach it, and that's why I'm here. Fucking any question, I got it, right? If I don't got it, I'll fucking meditate on it, and I'll bring back an answer, because it's always true. So yeah, that's it.